Okay, dear student, today I will start the next part of our video that is related to the measurement part 6. In these topics, we will carry forward from the part 5. In part 5, we had discussed about the simple pendulum and some definitions. Earlier, I explained you all the definitions of effective length, all the definition of your time period of oscillation, amplitude, frequency, etc. And also explained you the relation between frequency and time period of oscillation. Today I will discuss you about the factors affecting time period of oscillation of a simple pendulum. Okay, so you see simple pendulum is a heavy bob when duly suspended with the help of an inextensible thread from a rigid support. When you are applying a deforming force and lift this pendulum up to this height, then it acquires potential energy. This is the mean position of rest, and when you release your deforming force, what will happen? It will return back to the mean position of rest, and the potential energy converted into kinetic energy, and after reaching the mean position of rest, again it will go in other direction. In other direction, the kinetic energy now converted into again potential energy, and again after here the kinetic energy becomes zero, potential energy becomes maximum, and then due to gravitational pull it again return back to the main position of rest. In this way the pendulum oscillates. Time period of oscillation have two factors on which the time period of oscillation depend, and there are two factors on which time period of oscillation does not depend. So today's topic is factors affecting time period of oscillation of a pendulum. Your first factor is about the length of pendulum, and you know that I had already explained you regarding the length of pendulum is the distance between the fixed point of suspension to the center of bob. This much is your length of pendulum. This much is your length of pendulum L. So first factor on which the time period of oscillation depend is your length of pendulum. So time period of oscillation is directly proportional to the square root of effective length. That is, T is directly proportional to the square root of effective length. Say this is your equation 1. So time period of oscillation is directly proportional to the square root of effective length. So you take it as your equation 1. Now I have to write the next factor. Okay. So I am removing it. You have got it. Time period of oscillation is inversely proportional to the square root of the acceleration acceleration due to gravity of the place where the experiment is performing. So that is time period of oscillation t inversely proportional means reciprocal of the value of the square root of acceleration due to gravity, small g. Capital T means time period of oscillation, inversely proportional means 1 by square root of g. So this is your equation 2. Okay, now you can derive a formula by combining these two equations. Should I remove it? Okay. Now, by combining these two formula, two equation, combining 1 and 2. Your 1 was t is proportional to square root of L. So now combining all these, t is proportional to square root of L and t is inversely proportional to square root of g. So that means you can change this as a single, t is proportional to square root of L by g. Okay, if in order to make this proportionality sign equal, you have to put a constant. So that is t is equal to 2 pi under root of L by z, where this 2 pi stands for the constant of proportionality. Why you use 2 pi? You know, if you draw the path of your movement of the bob, it will constitute a circle. Now, should I remove it? I can show you the path of the pendulum by drawing a graph. Okay. So in this formula, time period of oscillation is 2 pi square root of L by z. So if you will draw, this is the mean position of rest and this is your displacement of the bob on either side. You see, mean position of rest is this much. If you will take it as time, here the maximum displacement say up to this, and on one side, and on the other side also the same displacement occur. If from mean position of rest you go to the extreme left, that means you have reaches here up to the maximum displacement. Again it return back to the mean position of rest. So again it come from this to mean position of rest. This is the mean position of rest. Path of the pendulum. It will go now on that other side up to a maximum value. So again this will reaches here up to maximum value. Then again it return back to the mean position of rest. So if you will put this just below it, what will happen? You see, the upper part of the path is a semicircle. The upper part of the path is a semicircle. And this part you put here, then what will happen? It constitutes a circle. So that means a circle, you know, pi means 180 degree. So it considers a circle means its substance 360 degree. So that is why 2 pi means 360 degree. So since the path after complete one oscillation it forms a circle, so here the constant is used as your 2 pi. You got it? So these are the two factors on which time period of oscillation depend. That is the effective length from the point of suspension to the center of bulk, and another is acceleration due to gravity of the place. Acceleration due to gravity differ from place to place. You know very well that acceleration due to gravity is not same throughout the world. The value, suppose the value of the acceleration due to gravity at Patna is more than that of the value in Darjeeling, because Darjeeling is at higher altitude. So its value differ from place to place depend upon the altitude of the place. So you got it? So that is why time period of oscillation also depend on the acceleration due to gravity of the place. Now, what are the factors on which time period of oscillation does not depend? Should I remove it? Okay. Factors on which time period of oscillation does not depend. There are two factors on which the time period of oscillation does not depend. First one is about the mass and material of the bulb. This mass of the bulb as well as the material of the bulb. It may be of 50 grams, it may be of 500 grams, whatever may be the mass. Mass does not affect, and the material of the bulb. Either it may be made up of iron or it may be made up of copper. It does not make any difference whether it is small or it is a heavier object. So mass and material of the bulb will not affect the time period of oscillation of the body. And also time period of oscillation does not depend on the extent of swing, provided it should be of less than 5 degree. This is the extent of swing. It should not be more than 5 degree. So that means on the either side the extent of swing should not be more than 5 degree. Okay, clear? So you got the factors. So there are two factors, one about the mass of the bulb and another it should be its extent of swing is in between 5 degree, not more than that. Because if you will pull it up to here, this pendulum, if you will put it, this pendulum suppose, if you will put it here, so it will, the extent of swing is more than 5 degree. So here you will not get the exact value of the time period of oscillation. It should be, for a pendulum, it should be within the 5 degree. Okay. So that means amplitude should be small. Okay, clear? Now, should I remove it? Now, this factor you have already got it. Now I will show you some more conclusion related to this formula. Suppose there are two pendulums. Suppose there are two pendulums whose length is L1 and whose length are L1 and L2, and both these pendulum having different length are using to measure the time period at the same place. That means value of G remain constant. So we are now in these topics we are comparing the time period of oscillation, comparing the time period of oscillation of two pendulum, comparing the time period of oscillation of two pendulum. Suppose there are two pendulum whose effective length is L1 and L2. So for L1, if the time period is T1, so here time period for first pendulum, time period for first pendulum is say T1. So T1 equals 2 pi square root of L1 by G. This is your equation 1. Okay. Now I have to remove it. Time period of oscillation for second pendulum, because we are taking two pendulum, is your T2 equals 2 pi square root of L2 by G. This is your equation 2. So for comparing, we have to find out the ratio. Okay. So equation 1 divided by equation 2, you will give you the ratio T1 by T2 means 2 pi square root of L1 by G, 2 pi square root of L2 by G. Here 2 pi cancel each other. That means now in this case, if we will simplify it, L1, here G in the denominator and G become the numerator and here it is L2. So again G cancel. So this will become the square root of L1 by L2. Clear? Now if we will find out the ratio of the, if time period is given, should I remove it? Okay. Now if you have the data of the value of your effective length, you can find out the ratio of their time period. If you have to find out the, if your time period is given and you want to find out the ratio of the effective length, then what will happen? Therefore, by squaring both sides, what will happen? L1 by L2 means T1 square by T2 square. So in this case also you can find out by taking the ratio of the square of the time period, you will get the ratio of the effective length. Clear? Similarly, again we can find out if the acceleration of gravity of a place are differ, keeping the effective length same. Second case, should I remove it? Okay. Ratio of the, when case 2, that was case 1, now case 2, when effective length of pendulum is same, but your experiment are performing in different places. What will happen then? Then we will have the different time period of oscillation because the value of G differ from place to place. In that case, T1 is 2 pi square root of L by G1. Suppose G1 is the acceleration due to gravity of a particular place. If you will take this pendulum to other places also, then for other place, this is your equation 1. For other place, value of G is your G2. Here, value of G for one place is G1. For other place it is G2. Then time period T2 equals 2 pi square root of L by G2. Okay, this is your equation 2. Now again for comparing, you find the ratio of the time period. So equation 1 divided by equation 2. What will happen? T1 by T2 gives 2 pi square root of L by G1 square root 2 pi square root of L by G2. Okay, should I remove? Then again from this data, T1 by T2 equals, again I am repeating here, 2 pi square root of L by G1, 2 pi square root of L by G2. So after simplification, 2 pi cancel each other. So here square root of L, after simplification, L will remain upward, G1 become downward because the denominator of the numerator become the denominator, and the denominator of the denominator become the numerator, so G2 will be upward. So this is your T1 by T2. So what will happen? You again cancel L. So now your ratio of time period become, now the ratio of time period become T1 by T2 equals square root of G2 by G1. Means if we will find out the comparing the acceleration due to gravity of a place, so here G2 by squaring both sides, G2 by G1 equal T1 square by T2 square by squaring both sides. By squaring both sides. Clear? So in this way you can compare the ratio of the acceleration due to gravity of a place. Okay? Should I remove it? Clear? If we will draw a graph containing, if we will draw a graph after the finding out the experiment between your square root of L versus time period. Square root of L versus time period, then the nature of graph will be a straight line inclined with time axis. Here you have the graph between, in y-axis you have plotted square root of effective length, and in x-axis you have drawn time period of oscillation. Then for a simple pendulum with your amplitude in between 5 degree, the graph between square root of L and T become a straight line inclined with your time axis. Okay, but if you will draw a graph instead of square root of effective length, if you will draw only L and T, what will happen? It will become a curved line. it will become a curved line, not a straight line. It is clear? Now you have got it. So this is all about this chapter. Now from this graph, what you will do? From this graph, what you will do? You see, square root of effective length. 1 minute. Let me. What will happen? Now, if we will find out square root of time period, if we will plot the graph between, square of time period and effective length, again you will get a straight line graph by finding t is equals to pi square root of L by G. If you are making square here, t square will be equal 4 pi square by G into L. If you will square the main relation for your time period, then t square will be equal 4 pi square by G into L. This part is a constant quantity. So square of time period is directly proportional to length. So that is why the graph between t square and L is a straight line. So in this relation, you can find out by finding the slope of your graph containing t square and L, you can find out the value of G. You see, from this relation, G can be calculated as your, should I remove it? G can be equal four pi square L by t square. 4 pi square L by t square. You see, 4, if you will making square, t square 4 pi square L by G, you put G here and take t square downward. So 4 pi square L by t square. So here G is the value that you will get from the slope of t square and L graph. Okay. So that means, so for finding the slope, you have to take 2 points on this graph. The difference between say this is your t1 square, say this is your t2 square, and this much is your L1, this is your L2. So ratio of the vertical change and horizontal change, will be the slope. Slope of t square versus L will be equal, this is your vertical change, this is your horizontal change. So that means if you will put the name as your A, B, C, this is your origin O, D and E. So your vertical change your AC and horizontal change your BC. So that means AC means what? T2 square minus T1 square. AC means, and here it is L2 minus L1. So that means T square by L2 minus L1. What it gives? It gives simply if you want to find out the value of g, you see, for value of g, this is the difference of the square of the time period and this is the difference of your effective length. So you have seen this is your slope. When you are placing your t square in y axis and L in x axis. Okay, should I remove it? You know, so small g equals 1 divided by slope of t square versus L graph. Why I have written so? You see, here this is the difference of your time period square. This deal simplify indicates that the difference between the square of your time period and this is your effective length. So t square by length, what it will give? This is the slope. T square by L is the slope. And you see the formula, that is your t square is 4 pi square L by g. So that means if we will take g here, then g means 4 pi square L by t square. So here t square is upward and del L is downward. So this will be your, here you can write 4 pi square. So this will be your 4 pi square. It will take L downward. This is your t square by L. So you see t square by del L means t square by L, and in the numerator 4 pi square, which is a constant quantity. So small g equals can be determined of a place by finding the ratio of 4 pi square divided by slope of t square versus L graph. Okay, this much is over for today. Thank you very much.